In our first story, the World Bank is rejecting arguments that reducing electricity tariffs would collapse and affect fresh investments into the power sector. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in the 2018 budget proposed 11 to 21% cut in the tariffs subject to the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission's approval. However, some industry analysts have kicked against this move, insisting it would affect the sector, which is already struggling to secure good returns on investments. Country Director of the World Bank, Henry Kirali, tells Joy Business the problem is rather with addressing the inefficiencies in the sector.
The tariff reduction is one element of a more efficient energy sector. We still know that energy distribution, electricity distribution system incurs quite significant losses. So efficiency means reducing those losses. We very much look forward to the private sector participation in the distribution company, ECG, which we see as an important step in improving the efficiency of the distribution system. The collection of tariffs has been a challenge, partly because some government ministries, departments and agencies do not pay their own electricity bills, but also partly because there have been other technical and non-technical losses in the distribution system. So it is important to have that efficiency in the energy sector in order to have the reliability of supply and also an effective, cost-effective system.
So we don't see this as a problem, as in reducing it being affecting the sector?
It would only affect the sector if the inefficiencies that we observe at the moment continue. So as long as there is improved efficiency in the tariff collection, improved efficiency or reduction, if you wish, in the losses that we see in the distribution system, all of these tariff reductions would actually be less than the losses, the current levels of losses in the distribution system.
Now, ratings agency Moody's is warning that Ghana would be paying high interest on any fresh Eurobonds that would be issued by the country. The warning was contained in the latest report on African countries on the Eurobond market. There's more in this report.
According to the ratings agency, Ghana would pay huge interest on fresh Eurobond issued because of a pickup in interest rates in the US and investors who will be seeking compensation for increases for global interest rates. The warning by Moody's is coming at a time government is planning to issue its first Eurobond next year to raise some 1 billion Ghana cedis to finance the budget deficit. But Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has assured government is working to secure the best interest rate on the market for the Eurobond sale. Moody's is again predicting Ghana could be faced with a huge financial burden between 2020 to 2023. This is because the country is required to pay about $4.5 billion to investors who bought into previous Eurobond issued by the country. The development should mean that whoever is managing the economy during that time must implement the repayment in a way that would not put pressure on the Ghana cedi or lead to serious depreciation. Analysts have argued that borrowing outside may be good in terms of freeing the domestic space for local businesses. But the challenge is when the time is due for paying off investors, that could put a lot of pressure on the cedi, a development that could bring about serious depreciation.
Now, we are still committed to issuing a 2 billion cedi bond to support small businesses in the country. That's assurance coming from the private sector arm of the World Bank, IFC. The corporation had initially planned to issue the bond in 2013, but had to put it on hold because of what they described at that time as unfavorable economic environment. Ronke Amoni Ogulsulire is a country director of International Finance Corporation.
An activity that's still very important to us. Ghana being the size it is, the second largest economy in West Africa, sixth largest in Africa. It's very important that the capital markets are developed in Africa, I mean in Ghana in particular. The banks can't do it all, so it's very important. At the moment, we haven't we're really focused on things that government is prioritizing at this particular moment. Not to say that they are not interested, but there's certain key issues that they're sorting out at the moment. For instance, the energy sector concerns, and they've assured us that this is something that they'd like to look into as soon as possible.
When would you deem as the market being ready for this ambitious program that everybody's waiting for, this exercise?
I would say that the market has been ready for some time, and with a government that's very private sector focused, this is something that they're putting in the forefront of the work that they're doing, so we'll be very pleased to support them in that.
In terms of your support for businesses here in the country, one would say that are you working to again be more aggressive and more sector focused to ensure that the results that you're looking for, do you realize it?
Well, yes, we've always been extremely focused on the private sector in Ghana. It's one of our largest exposures in Africa, and this is because it has a fairly large private sector and sponsors with whom we can work. A private sector diagnostic is something that we hope will help us do even more in Ghana, help unlock some of these sectors that we've had some concerns in doing. So, for instance,
away from that, the issue of rising levels of loan defaults, is negatively affecting the operations of not only banks, but non-bank financial institutions as well. That's according to Chief Executive of IFS Financial Services, Kojo Aheniche. The Bank of Ghana has pegged average rate of non-performing loans in the country in the banking sector to about 21% as of October this year, a situation many analysts say could spell doom for the banking industry. Mr. Aheniche says the situation is worse in the non-bank financial sector. He's been speaking to Joy Business as IFS Financial Services celebrates 10 years of operations in the country.
The market in which we operate has challenges in terms of debt recovery. It takes a long time to go through the judicial process to recover a debt, and on average it can take you probably 4 years to recover one loan through our court system. So it's something that needs reform.
Does it mean you're also affected by the non-performing loans?
Yes, obviously. I mean, you know, if you heard what the governor said at the last MPC press release, the universal banks have about 21% on average non-performing loans, some as high as 40 and some lower than 10. But generally you would notice that the risk associated with the non-bank sector, the risks are higher. And so the non-performing loan ratios tends to be a little higher than the banks. So it's an industry-wide problem. We work hard at it, and many times we are successful. But those that have to go through the courts really cause a lot of problems and delays.
Do you see it as a threat to the growth of the financial markets, especially with non-finance houses like IFS?
It does. I mean, anytime you have a loan that is not performing, it's an idle asset. And so it puts pressure on the capital of the institution.
So live on the marketplace, let's now move on to a brewing story. And workers of Ghana Consolidated Diamonds Company Limited at Akwatia in the Eastern region are embarking on a sit-down protest against management of the company for what they term as mismanagement of the mining firm. They accuse management of plunging the company into total darkness after the ECG disconnected the company from the national grid, though a monthly amount of 50 Ghana cedis is deducted from the salary of each worker to settle electricity bills. They are also accusing them of failing to pay their provident fund and 2 months' salary. The company has become dormant after the Jospon Group acquired 100% shareholding 6 years ago. Now, the agitated workers want government to cancel the contract between it and the Jospon. We have online our Eastern Regional Correspondent Kofi Siao to bring us up to speed to what exactly is happening there. Kofi, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon.
Now, so tell us what exactly is happening at the Ghana Consolidated Mining Limited.
Well, currently, as I speak, the workers are on a sit-down process. They are saying that the management of the company are mismanaging the firm, so they want government to cancel the contract between government and that of Jospon, who acquired the Ghana Consolidated Company some 6 years ago. You know, since he acquired the company 6 years ago, he was supposed to pay about $14 million to the state, but he's been able to pay only $3 million of the amount he was supposed to pay. And currently, the workers are also calling on the management to pay their provident fund, and also they say they owe them about 2 months' salary. So they are asking the management to do so, or government intervenes and cancel the contract between it and Jospon.
Action, have the workers been engaging management on the issues they are raising now?
Yes, the leader of the aggrieved workers is one Kofi Asamoah, and he told me that they have been engaging management as to why they would allow the ECD to disconnect their lights and also fail to pay their provident fund and owe them the 2 months' salary. And they are saying management has not been responding to some of these issues.
Now, was there an agreement for management to deduct the 50 Ghana cedis to pay for the tariffs? And if so, yes, why hasn't the money been used to clear the tariff? Yes,
that is what they say, that it was an agreement between management and the workers. You know, when Jospon took over, it was paying the electricity tariffs, but for some time it failed to do so. So the management agreed with workers to help them pay the electricity tariffs. So at the end of every month, they deduct 50 Ghana cedis of their salary to settle the electricity bills. But they are surprised that management could not honor their part of the agreement.
Now, currently, are they busy? I mean, before this sit down or this strike action, now, have they been busy by way of production?
Well, the company has been dormant since Jospon took over 6 years ago. They have not been operating. Nothing is going on. And I must say that the company is dead. Okay. Let me put it that way.
Now, have you spoken with any member of management staff on this?
Yes, I've been trying to speak to the general manager, and he's not responding.
All right. Thank you very much, Kofi Siao. We'll come your way again for more details in our subsequent bulletins. Kofi Siao, our Eastern Regional Correspondent, bringing us up to speed with the development at Akwasia in the Eastern region, where the Ghana Consolidated Mining Industry Limited is currently on a sit-down strike because their salaries have not been paid, and also they are in total darkness as a result of disconnection by the ECG. Away from that, internet users will in the coming months enjoy lower charges as government works to get the cost reviewed downwards. That's the assurance from the Minister of Communications, Esla Owusu, who is advocating infrastructure sharing among internet service providers in the bid. Now, reports indicate that the cost of internet in Ghana is one of the highest in West Africa due to the isolated installation of underground fiber optics by Tesco's. Madame Owusu argues the trend will soon change. She's been explaining to Joy Business at the maiden edition of the Broadband Ghana Forum program.
I've been informed, and I haven't had a chance to verify it, that the amount of fiber buried in the ground in Ghana, if we joined it end to end, would cover this country 7 times over. But because they've been laid in the same places and they've duplicated the infrastructure in the same places, you have a lot of fiber, metro fiber, and around the large cities, while large parts of this country are not covered. We can't continue this way. It's very expensive to lay fiber. So if we sit down in a room and decide that, okay, there's enough fiber here, we all want to extend our services to another location, let us join our resources. So instead of everybody laying down fiber to extend services to, say, Nandom, let's decide that, okay, Company A will do from point A to point B. Company B will continue from point B to point C. Or an infrastructure company set up not to provide the services but to lay down the infrastructure, will lay down the fiber, and everybody will lease capacity on it to do their work. So they reduce their capital expenditure. They don't need to invest so much in building their own fiber network, but they can lease capacity from infrastructure companies to extend their services to the areas where they want to extend services to. They're reducing their capital expenditure and operational expenditure, and so they are reducing their costs of delivering those services and can transfer that cost into reduced prices for their services to the consumer. So we believe that if we work together to develop an infrastructure sharing code and facilitate that and make it easier for them to also extend their service, there will be competition, all right, but they'll be competing on the quality of the services they provide, not in the access that they can, the areas that they can extend their services to. And it gives consumers more choice too. They can decide which network to use in their locality. We want to connect the entire country within the next 2-3 years. It is possible if we work with the network operators, broadband wireless operators, and internet service providers to see how best we can do that by sharing the costs of laying out the necessary infrastructure and pooling our resources together. Because at the end of the day, if this works and every part of this country is connected, all of them can extend their services to all parts of the country instead of small geographical locations that they may be limited to now.
The Minister for Aviation, Cecilia Dapa, has inaugurated a joint aviation tourism technical committee for the development of the two sector ministries. The committee is tasked with addressing challenges in both sectors to make it more attractive for investors and tourists arriving in the country and to ultimately double passenger arrivals in Ghana. Sheila Tamakulu witnessed the inauguration and has come through with this report.
According to the International Air Transport Association, IATA, out of 62.7 million jobs worldwide supported by the Global Air Transport Association, 36.3 million are tourism-related. According to the Aviation Minister, it is necessary for the major stakeholders to unlock their tourism potential of a country.
If aviation teams up with tourism, we could have a seamless tourism industry for the country. People book their tickets and they know where they are going to sleep and where they are going to visit. That's what we want to do. It's seamless. And these, they are not new. They've been practiced in other countries, and I believe we will also benefit from this system. That's why we have jointly inaugurated this committee to help advise the two ministers and the ministries as to the way forward in this vision. We intend to double tourist visits or tourism. We want exponential growth in air travel, and we want to open up the country to Ghanaians and to other visitors to this nation. Yes, I want to also contribute to socio-economic development of this nation.
On his part, Acting Chief Director for the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Arts, Dr. John N.E. Sonny, noted the aviation industry had a key role in making Ghana the preferred destination for investors and tourists, which has necessitated the setting up of a committee.
And aviation plays a very important role, especially in getting people moving within the country, across between countries, and then across the continent or the globe. For us in the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, the aviation industry is a very key partner in promoting tourism and making Ghana the preferred destination in terms of leisure, in terms of investment. So for us, this committee that has been inaugurated this afternoon is very important in terms of looking at the technical issues. What are the issues on the table? what are the challenges, what are the strategies that we need to address those challenges so that Ghana becomes the gateway, or deepen the Ghana's position as the gateway West Africa, deepen our position in terms of competitiveness, and making sure that we take advantage, especially within the West African sub-region, of making Ghana the hub of business, in the hub of tourism.
Sheila Tamaklo's report for Joy Business.
Now, when she failed to raise money to further her education at a senior high school, Sandra Oswald was not deterred. In the midst of challenges, she discovered an opportunity in making shoes, and of course, men's shoes. Today, her shoe brand, St. Oswald, is grabbing attention. Sandra invites us to the capital of Brahaf region, Sunyani, where the shoes are manufactured. On this episode of the Joy Business Van, this is a repeat.
Sandra Oswald has had to deal with one challenge or the other growing up. After senior high school, she was at a crossroads.
That time my parents had nothing to help me continue my education. So I have to hustle for myself, do something for myself. And I'm a type who don't like to depend on people, and also I love to create something on my own. But back at the senior high, I used to even make granite cakes, ice cream, and sell them secretly to my friends. So after school, when I realized there was no money to support my education again, I decided to do something for myself.
It was at a friend's wedding it occurred to Sandra she could make shoes.
I realized the husband, which was the groom, was wearing a shoe which was made with African print. And I was quite shocked because I never knew we could make shoes in Ghana. So after the wedding, I contacted the bride, who is my friend. Contacted her and I asked her about the shoe her husband was wearing, and she told me, oh, it's made in Ghana. And I said, wow.
Fascinated by that, Sandra made keen arrangements to meet the shoemaker, whose products she would start selling. But after a while, Sandra did not want to just be a shoe seller. She wanted to own a shoe manufacturing company. She convinced her shoemaker friend to join her, and that is how St. Oswald Shoes started. Today, the Joy Business Van is at the Bono Aboriginal capital, Sunyani, where Sandra's shoemaking factory is based. Sandra struggled with funding at the beginning and had to rely on support from friends and family. Raw materials for her shoes are sourced locally. The shoes are of good quality, durable, and Sandra tries to add an African touch. That is her selling point. The other struggle for entrepreneurs like Sandra was convincing people to patronize made-in-Ghana products. So what has been the strategy to build confidence in her products?
Looking at what I'm bringing out, the designs and even adding up the African print and other stuff is making people love the shoes. And I think now people feel proud when they wear made in Ghana, and that is helping. And also, I've also been able to reach some few celebrities who have been advertising the shoes on their various social media pages, and also wearing them, giving me pictures to post on my company pages.
It appears to be working. Most of Sandra's shoes are marketed in Accra. Her factory makes 100 pairs of men's shoes every month. Sandra has always wanted to make an impact on the world around her. It almost seems unbelievable that she has come this far.
I feel very proud, and I think this will serve as an example to the youth and the coming generations, because shoemaking, we all know, is for men, but I'm changing everything, all the conception about it. That shoemaking is not only for men, women can also do what men do. And I'm in to motivate and also change how Ghana is seen by the rest of the world.
Sandra's next big task is to start making women's shoes. That should be very soon.
All right, so we come your way again with more stories on the Joy Business Van every Wednesday on the Business Live with a repeat on Thursdays on the Marketplace. And that's it for Marketplace for today. My name is Emmanuel Akwaji. Thanks for watching. Have a good afternoon.